Let's do this. Good morning, and welcome to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold.
Oh, hell yes.
This is the show where we talk about everything.
What the hell?
Well, almost. From today's news, culture, entertainment, real life, real people, and the stories everybody's talking about. And no, we don't do it in some tiny glass bubble. We do it the only way we know how. Real and completely unleashed.
Fire the hole, fire the hole, fire the hole.
So lean in and let's go right now.
Give me that hell yeah. What?
Good morning. It is Freedom Friday. Every day is free and freedom, but we celebrate it specifically on Fridays around here. We are the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold, Darrell Arnold, on a Friday, July 17th, 2026. Look, we've all seen the headlines about government waste and fraud, regardless who's uncovering all that, because they are doing a really good job of uncovering it. Billions of taxpayer dollars have already been spent. And while the politicians argue over so-called solutions or argue over solutions, the national debt keeps growing and growing and growing. That's why I think it's very important to all my listeners and everyone out there listening to understand how government spending can affect your financial future, not just today, but years and years from now for your kids and grandkids. Swiss America, ladies and gentlemen. They've been educating Americans about precious metals and etc. for more than 40 years. And they have a report. No money involved, a report. The Secret War on Cash. It explains how government spending, inflation, and all that can quietly impact your purchasing power over time. No obligation, just information. Don't wait. Do it now. Call 1-800-289-2646. 1-800-289-2646. And tell them that Daryl Arnold from Unleashed Media and Talk sent you. Unleashed Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold. 800-289-2646. Welcome to the show on Friday, y'all. Wow, what a night last night. Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, called for a national speech last night. It lasted 25 minutes, which really is short for Donald Trump. We all know that. That's a short speech for Trump. I was rather surprised that, but it was straight to the point, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't all of the quote nonstop talking. It wasn't a rally style speech. It was straight to the point about how this country got hacked to the max in 2015 and 2020 with massive Chinese influence. Over 220 million voters or ballots or screwery, as we like to call it. But it wasn't straight up the mainstream media, the big three, ABC, NBC, CBS. They chose not to even run the speech. Well, of course they did. I mean, what a pathetic. But hey, we're talking about ABC, NBC, CBS over the last decade, little over a decade now, 11, 12, 13 years. We've seen what they do. And honestly, it's been going on way before that. They can Back in the old days, they could make you or break you. Now, they still try to make you or break you. Trust me, they try real hard, ladies and gentlemen. They try real hard. Good morning to Russell in the house on a Freedom Friday. And a lot of people say, look, we don't want to hear a speech regarding Donald Trump from the 2020 election when it's been proven that this and it's been proven that and it's been proven, all that crap. But here's the deal. We still need to know about it, ladies and gentlemen, because there was a lot more going on than just Trump saying that Biden stole the election. But they don't want to hear that. They don't want to understand that at all. Just like Teresa's in the house this morning. Good morning. But we're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Restream, which restreams to all platforms right now live. Then, of course, you can listen back later on any of your favorite podcast platforms. And that would be Spotify, Podbean, Apple, Amazon. We're now with iHeartRadio as well. You just go to iHeartRadio on the app. Listen to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. Brought to you in part right now by CypressPointMS.com. My text line is sponsored by them, which is 601-918-8409. 601-918-8409. Now, let's dive deep. Let's dive right into it. I don't want to bore anybody on this show, but the reason they've been able to do all this for all these years is espionage. China, Russia, North Korea. There's a terrifying possibility. China may have the ability to build a digital dossier on millions and millions of Americans. That's what they've always done, y'all. And nobody's followed these stories as much as Catherine Herridge over the last 20 years. China is also one of the biggest and always has been collectors of data. Good morning to Joe Davidson, the true patriot on a Freedom Friday. Check the hat. Let's do this thing. So if you take the 220 million voter rolls and you combine it with something called the SF-86, which are security clearance applications that were compromised back in 2015, that alone was another 22 million hacks.
Is one of the biggest collectors of data on the planet. So if you take that 220 million voter rolls and you combine it with something called the SF-86, those are the security clearance applications that were compromised back in 2015, 22 million files. And then you combine it with all of the health information that's been hacked, you can really build this kind of digital composite of an individual. And you can use that for, voter registration fraud. You can use that for identity theft. And significantly, you can also use it to recruit American citizens to your efforts. So it's not just about the collection of the data around the vote. Exactly.
Right.
You've been there.
Yeah, pretty scary stuff, right? We've talked about it for years. I'm not going to beat it to death this morning. But this is truly disturbing. And it has been disturbing for a while, y'all. It has been disturbing. And I'm definitely not all, surprised at all if China's been stealing American technologies for decades. I'm not surprised. No one should be surprised. Of course, today they came out saying They had nothing to do with the 2020 election of stealing data, hack, blah, blah, so on and so on. They lie. Okay? They lie. Just like Iran lies. Russia lies. North Korea lies. And why would they tell the truth anyway? Of course they wouldn't. So that's that. That is 100% what's going on. And it's very important. You can go to whitehouse.gov, and see all of the newly released yesterday, last night, Trump released all this, all the new release documents on what all went down in 2020, 2019, 2018, and etc. While he was in office, while he was there. They didn't let him know any of this during any of the presidential briefings, which he had to have daily. And I know what most people out there are saying, the same thing I'm saying. I don't see anybody getting arrested. I don't see any of this. I don't see any of that. I mean, I don't either. And I'm PO'd about it. And I hear you. And I don't see anybody getting arrested for the Epstein files. I hear you. But each time that he deteriorates these people's, I don't even know what you call it anymore, because the far left Democrat Party's gone. They're completely insane. They don't even care. I would say about their character, but they don't have any character. That's the problem. They don't have any character whatsoever. That's a huge, problem. Big time. After listening to Trump's 25-minute speech, and we're going to move on, we'll be playing some sound bites. We'll be getting your opinions at 601-918-8409, etc. None of the people who have been on the journey of uncovering the CIA and their nefarious activities were surprised by anything that he said. I mean, I get that. But there are a few important things. Trump declassified, which these had never been before, and will expedite everything happening in the grand juries in the Fort Pierce case because they were classified. And this draws out the timeline exponentially. And this is not a small thing. It's a small thing to not notice, but it's not a small thing. Number two, he also mentioned that the intel agencies, the journalists, I hope they get every one of them, the journalists, the large corporation unions, all of that were involved with the government and China as early as 2018 in interfering with elections, negative stories, undermining our president. Technically, that's treason. That's what it is. He specifically called out Obama, specifically called out another president, being Obama. He also confirmed that what we all knew, anybody with common freaking sense, we were all right. He noted that the FBI, DHS, CIA, and other government agencies worked together in a coup. They systematically, overtly, and consistently worked to hide critical intelligence from the President of the United States. And I can go on and on. The FBI also discovered that China was manufacturing, they were making ballots, ladies and gentlemen, manufacturing them for Joe Biden. I mean, of course they were. People say, Daryl, why you laugh in my face? Why you say all that? I laugh in your face and I say all that because can nobody tell me that Joe Biden, that you can't understand what he's saying, got 81 million, or what was it? What did they say? Wait, what did they say over there? 84 million. Good God Almighty. Votes, y'all. Come on. We know better. We've known better. We've talked about it forever. It's ridiculous to have to continue to talk about this. But we're not going to continue to talk about this. If Hillary Clinton would have won, who knows what would have happened? Who knows what would have happened? It wouldn't have been good, though. But think about this. Let's get a little bit more current than that. What if Kamala Harris would have won? Now, that, my friends, is a Friday laugh-a-lot. If Kamala Harris would have won, we would have been not only screwed, we would have. I really don't know what to say about that one. I don't know what to say, but the Kamala Harris party now has turned into the new DSA, Democrat Socialists of America. Look, I put a video up, I don't know, a couple of hundred comments already. These people are crazy. I got about half of them that agree with me, of course. We don't want freaking communism. Then we got about half of them that are 100% lunatics. They are 100% freaking lunatics. And that's sad to me, but it is true. It's sad to me. John Solomon, who was inside of this investigation put together by the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ, and the Trump administration, he didn't know anything about it, by the way. They didn't even give Donald Trump, the president, the information on this investigation until right before the speech last night. So there couldn't be any games.
In the last few days as we got prepared for this. It's very important to understand, the president said this tonight, every intelligence chief vetted this speech. They made sure it was accurate. They told me they had never been briefed on the size of the breaches, the 230 million Americans, the 220 million Americans whose data was stolen, that they consider it a security breach. How many times on your network have you reported that 5 countries are capable of hacking our election machines? When is the last time you reported that Venezuela actually succeeded in breaching a machine which has implications for our future security? You haven't, because it was never made public. It has not been made to Congress. It's not been told to the president in the past. We checked the presidential daily briefs. A president was kept from this information. Now we have a chance to fix a glass chain of election security, make the 26th election more secure.
Yep. Yes, we got a chance to fix it if we could get the ridiculous, evil senators, some of them in the Republican Party, to pass the freaking Save America Act now. Our president is fed up with it. But you know what? So are the American citizens. We voted for this. We voted for this. We have idiots, even in the Republican Party, y'all, that are not wanting to vote for something where you have to show a damn ID to vote. I mean, how stupid. How stupid is that? I mean, nobody will ever convince me that that's not the dumbest thing ever in the history. Okay? Because it is. There's only one reason. We've talked about it many times. We'll talk about it many more times. There's only one reason you would not want voter ID. There's only one reason you would not want to be an American citizen voting, because legally, non-American citizens, can't vote. But this is happening. And by the way, I can't believe, I'm actually in a good way, that CBS News let John Solomon, that we just heard, speak. Wow. Good for them. Even though they suck, they did that one thing right. Election security is a national emergency. Duh, it is. That's a text message I got at 601-918-8409, 601-918-8409. Election security is a national emergency. Of course it is. It is. 2020, the intelligence community deliberately massaged, or in other words, forgot about, didn't bring it up, blew it off, the president's daily brief back then to avoid sharing key analysis and information with President Trump. Now, you can see all these documents. You don't have to believe me anymore. You don't have to believe anybody anymore. The White House put it all up. The White House put it all up. It's out there now. All these secret documents, these burn bags, everything. It's out there. You read it. People with TDS are just too freaking insanely blind to listen to this, see it, or hear it, and they will never go check it probably. And if they do, they won't talk about it. The deep state. Trump called them out last night. We've heard that name for years, but they're still here. They're still here. And if anybody thinks they're not, you're insane. Sorry. David Hall. Good morning to David Hall. Sent us a text message to quote Ronald Reagan, the greatest of all time. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. And in America, I believe now, with all things being considered, that would be the infestation of communists in every situation in this nation. And that reality has collapsed or shrunk to one, that's right, a solo election cycle, not one generation, one election cycle. That is what I believe. Thanks for that message, David Hall. Listen, it will, in fact, and it's going to, in fact, really screw up this planet. Not just the United States, the entire world. Because who is the United States? Who is the most powerful? The United States. Who's the most powerful in the world? The United States. And when you have the cuckoo theory going on, I explained that on a video because it's true. The cuckoo theory. And they're buying into it. The younger generation is buying into socialism and communism because they don't know what it means. They don't know how it works. They just hear a couple of words, they hear a couple of sentences, and they watch TikTok influencers and etc. Instagram, wherever. Influencers tell them how to live their own life. How to live their own life. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. A new proposal out there. Switching gears a bit. Will bring AI, and this is already happening. They've already paid for it. A powered robot, a lady. It's a full-size humanoid robot AI. Powered dolls is what they call them, DOLLS, into schools to help not only support the students, but help them support the teachers. This is a sad-ass world. Okay? It is happening now. I think they're paying like $65,000 for one of them at this one school. Is this a step too far, or is this a smart idea is the question. I think it's completely insane. Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins.
Fast, we all know that. But a school district in Western New York is actually going to have a full-on humanoid robot as a teacher this fall.
I had one of those back in the 70s.
No, you did not.
It just seemed that way, I guess.
The robot named Sally is not going to replace the classroom teacher, but it's programmed to provide learning support to both students and educators. Sally's going to have a lifelike appearance with silicone skin and long brown hair. She'll be stationary in a seated position, but will have a wide range of upper body movements and facial expressions. She won't use the students' names because there's some privacy concerns. So the kids will have to address themselves with a number. Everybody gets a number.
Oh, good.
So they say, "Hi, Miss Sally, I'm student 7 or whatever."
Oh, boy.
So I'd be like, "Hey, 7, we were talking about this yesterday. Do you want to continue that conversation?" A little strange.
Yeah, a little.
She can also support the teachers by interjecting if the teacher forgets where they're at in the lesson plan or accidentally skips over something. By the way, Sally is costing $57,000.
I'm just waiting for the New York Post headline about Sally going rogue and like sexting with one of the students.
You know that's going to happen. What a crazy world on this Freedom Friday, top of the hour Friday, July 17th. The year is 2026. Man, what about that conversation? But that, the crazy thing is the craziest things we can think of. The craziest things we saw in movies are coming true right in front of us. It is the top of the hour. My name is Daryl Arnold. You've tuned into the Unleashed, Uninhibited, Unapologetic show, which is called Unleashed Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold. We'll be right back.
Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Power 104.3, The Pirate. The Pirate is the heartbeat of Pearl. The Pirate.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Visit msema.org and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
Support for these programs comes from Electrical Solutions and Services in Pearl, Mississippi, providing licensed electrical contracting services throughout Mississippi for commercial, industrial, and residential projects. Also installations, system upgrades, troubleshooting, and emergency electrical repairs. As certified installers for Tesla, charging systems, and a certified dealer for Generac backup power solutions, their team delivers safe, code-compliant workmanship with a commitment to precision and integrity. They are veteran owned. Their phone number is 769 572 7597.
Every program in the Next ecosystem is designed to meet people where they are and take them where they want to go, in technology and in life. Mississippi Coding Academies is a nonprofit that bridges the digital divide, delivering accessible, affordable, and life-changing technology education across the globe. Funded by grants and donations that are truly making an impact at home and abroad. Learn coding, cybersecurity, and so much more with locations around the state of Mississippi. Go to mscoding.org today and go to your next level.
Welcome back to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. And yes, he's still unapologetic.
Yeah, 7:05 in the morning Central Time. We talked about it a couple of days ago as the House passed the Sunshine Protection Act to leave the clocks from being changed. Has not gone to the Senate yet, so we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Kristen Smith, good morning. Kevin Axton, what's happening, brother? But yeah, we're going to get some questions here too here in just a second. Let me get this loaded up here. But I appreciate all the shares. If you see this feed and you're in one of those groups, especially that talks about podcasts or talks about whatever, please give this a share. Good morning to Jeff Murrah. Paul. Good morning to Paul. Joe Davidson. Paul said this is why many Americans don't vote, because a blind man can see how this BS that's been going on is a waste of valuable time. True, but we have to do it too big to rig. That's the only way we did it in 24, and it worked. It worked. Because no matter all the crap that's going on, if you go too big to rig, you can outdo the criminals. And these midterms are so very important, y'all. They just are. But the shocking cover-ups for years securing our election is unfathomable. I mean, we know it, but the general public doesn't. WhiteHouse.gov/election integrity. All the documents are there that just came out last night. I haven't read all of them, read through some of them before I fell asleep. Crazy stuff was happening right there. Now, I knew it. I mean, I didn't know it was to that level, but we all knew it. The DHS now is also considering immigrants, use of Medicaid, welfare programs, and in the green card decisions. Wow. So in other words, let's look at this. The Trump administration is allowing immigration officers to factor in applicants' use of Medicaid, food stamps, and housing assistance when deciding, it's about time, if they qualify for permanent legal status. The Department of Homeland Security is planning to rescind the, quote, Biden-era regulation that narrowed how officers used a long-standing public charge test, a little test, which gauges whether the applicants are likely to rely on, quote, government support. This change could potentially, and it should, impact hundreds of thousands of, quote, illegal migrants from tapping into taxpayer-funded social programs. Good. They say this country's broke. It's because we give all the money to people that aren't even actual citizens. And then the single moms or the low income families in our own country struggle because they care more about illegal immigrants than they do American citizens. Ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous. All right, let's move on to something else, damn it. 601-918-8409. It is Freedom Friday. There's a lot going on this weekend. We're going to give the rundown for live music and everything going on at Cypress Point. Check out cypresspointms.com and at Cypress Point MS on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, Cameron's Garage / Cypress Point. TikTok, there's a couple of different pages, Cypress Point, and my Unleashed Media USA page. Always keeping you updated at Unleashed with Daryl, also on Instagram. So there are many ways you can check all this out. And we also create reels. We do massive specials. There's weekend specials this weekend at Cypress Point because guess what? Today is Friday. Freedom Friday. Gonna be fun. South of 20 tonight at Cameron's Garage playing the live music. Huge. Tomorrow night, the Cody Harvey Band. Incredible young fellow. Then, of course, we have the Tavern going on. And listen, you have to go to the page. There's so much going on. We got safari. We got brunch this weekend. I mean, it's just bam, bam, bam. It's still hot dog month. Still hot dog flights going on through July. Take advantage of all this. It's where your friends are. Cameron's Garage, the Tavern, Cypress Point, the safari, the lodging, the catering. Incredible. Wonder what Jeff Murrah's got going on this morning. Jeff Murrah, thank you for your service, sir. I'm still freaking out over that doll, that robot, the AI Sally, going into a high school. It's a done deal. Bizarre. I might play this more than once, but listen to Trump's voice. You can hear it in his voice. We are done playing around with these senators. We voted for something. It's one of the main reasons we voted for Trump. We the people. We the people, not you bureaucrats, us. Us.
Demands that Congress must pass the Save America Act. How easy is that to do unless you want to cheat? The only reason you wouldn't do it is you want to cheat because your policies are so bad and your candidates are so pathetic that you can't get away or can't get elected.
Hearing what you can't get elected unless you cheat.
Congress must pass the Save America Act.
Now, y'all. Got a message from Paul saying why it won't matter in the next couple of years. They'll just reverse it. You don't know that, Paul. I hear what you're saying. And I hear everybody saying we're going to lose the House and we're going to lose the Senate. And we may. But 2 years, 2 full years of having the Save America Act will help a whole hell of a lot more than if we don't pass it. even if they do change it, we have to make it harder and harder and harder if, big if, they do win. We have to make it harder and harder and harder. Just like they did to us, Joe Biden. I'm seriously. There was a person who admitted in these files, I'm basically running a shadow government across the FBI at this point. Now I'm looking at this document. Nikki Flores, make her famous. Running a shadow government against the own people of the United States who voted. I mean, you're pathetic. That is treason. I'm not saying anything will happen because, hell, it probably won't, unfortunately. But we know now. We know. We know. Facebook now has a patent on a yeah, this is crazy as hell. Facebook has a patent to mimic you and clone you even after you die, even after you pass.
Was just granted one of the craziest patents I've ever heard. Facebook was just granted one of the craziest patents I've ever heard. And this is so creepy. And it shows you where Facebook's head is. They have gotten a patent that can study your digital life. And basically, it can mimic you when you're dead. Yeah. It can figure out how you talk, your mannerisms, your behavior, your personality, how you respond to comments. So even after you're dead, it can interact as you, as a dead person. Experts warn this crosses a big red line. I mean, yeah. And again, Facebook could deny that this is what they want to do, but you can't lie about the patents you get. And you only get patents when you're thinking about doing something in the future. And these big companies like Facebook get these patents very quietly. They don't broadcast it, but this is what's happening in the background. And speaking of scams, this is exactly how scams grow.
Wow. Facebook is going to clone you or me. Black Mirror, it was a show on Netflix. Exactly what that was about. But yes. Thanks for the text message. I believe I saw that a couple of years ago. Yeah. Anyway, because the government is going to use your data in a quote humanoid style robot. Yeah, probably so. Thanks for the text, Melinda. We're wide open on the text 601-918-8409. But I guess we could go. I don't know. I guess we could personally go out and trademark and copyright ourselves. I mean, I don't know. You know, we could probably do that. But this is crazy, y'all. But I believe they're studying it now. Of course we do on Apple phones. It tracks where you are. It searches your friends, your buying habits, your going to the bathroom habits. I mean, really, Jesus. But crazy, insane. The radical DSA, the Democrat Socialist of America Party, which is running things now, their manifesto calls for, this is crazy and sick in the freaking universe in the head, to abolish the United States president, period, not Trump, just anybody, and to abolish the United States Senate and the Electoral College. These people have lost their way. They've lost their mind, and they're just pure narcissists, communists, idiots, or evil. Okay? Evil. That's just what's happening, y'all. They want to, quote their words, not mine, redistribute the presidency. The Democrat Socialists of America are calling to scrap the executive branch, the Senate, and the Electoral College in a radical, and I do mean radical, manifesto aiming to end the two-party system. The workers deserve more declaration would expand the House of Representatives, which would select the president and members of the Supreme Court, tearing up the Constitution and switching to a European-style parliamentary system. Now, how's that work for them over there? It's insane over there. Anyway, replace the two-party system with a multi-party democracy. This newly published, I mean, they put it all out there for us to see, and people are still going to vote for these fools. Scary times. Expand the House, implement proportional representation and ranked choice voting, which, by the way, I worked on the campaign against ranked choice voting last time. That is a idiotic system. Okay. Voting in all elections and abolish the Senate and the Electoral College. The Democrat Socialists of America drafters said an expanded House would be more democratic than a Senate. I mean, the lefty, far left, idiotic, progressive political group also said the president has too much unilateral power in launching wars in the Supreme Court, etc. I don't know. I do know this, though. I do know this. These people have lost their way, and they're completely insane. They went along with the mainstream media on the 2020 election, hell, even the 2015 election. They went along with all of that crap. They also went along with Joe Biden, who did not actually run anything for 4 years. They went along with the Wuhan lab theory of the freaking rats and mice and whatever else they could think of for the COVID-19, where it started. They went along with all that. Y'all, not you particular to hear my voice right this second, but the American people went along with all of that crap. They are brainwashed, unfortunately. And mainstream Democrat Socialists of America manifesto calls for the abolishment of the republic, keyword republic, because we are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. They are the Communist Party of America. They're not scared to tell you, even though they call it socialism. They will burn it all down, you guys. They will. Even Pelosi, who's a fruit boot. Even Pelosi is not happy with the socialist candidates challenging the Democrats, because not only do they hate conservatives or Republicans or independents, they hate the Democrats. They do. Anyway, crazy stuff. We'll be right back with you, unleashed, uninhibited, and unapologetic.
Don't forget to check out Cypress Point Resort. Memories are made at Cypress Point. Close to home, yet it feels miles away. At Cypress Point, you can truly get away from it all. You can step back to a simpler time, yet enjoy all the amenities of today. Cameron's Garage is a sports bar and music venue. There's a lunch buffet every day inside Cypress Point. They also have a steakhouse and the tavern. The tavern is a quaint little place with live music Wednesday through Saturday. And of course, you've got the safari park and petting zoo. Don't forget about all the event halls, including the wedding chapel and so much more. That's Cypress Point Resort, located at 874 Hollybush Road, Brandon, Mississippi. Contact them at 601-829-1101 or at cypresspointms.com.
Support for these programs comes from Electrical Solutions and Services in Pearl, Mississippi, providing licensed electrical contracting services throughout Mississippi for commercial, industrial, and residential projects. Also installations, system upgrades, troubleshooting, and emergency electrical repairs. As certified installers for Tesla, charging systems, and a certified dealer for Generac backup power solutions, their team delivers safe, code-compliant workmanship with a commitment to precision and integrity. They are veteran-owned. Their phone number is 769-572-7597.
The Mississippi Reunion Concert. Everyone has waited on, and we have it at Cameron's Garage. August 7th, Crossin' Dixon. This is the concert of the decades not to miss. Join us at Cameron's Garage for an evening of music. The Stevens Brothers Band will kick off the night at 5:30 p.m., followed by Crossin' Dixon at 8 p.m. Purchase your tickets in advance for $15 or at the door for $20 at cypresspointms.com. This will sell out. We cannot wait to see you there.
I've got Southern comfort running through my veins.
Welcome back to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. And yes, he's still unapologetic.
7:26 a.m. Friday, Freedom Friday. Yeah. July 17th, 2026. Unleashed Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold. Podcasts are blowing up, over 60,000 full-blown downloads in the last month. Unbelievable. Not listens. People took the time to download the entire podcast. Wow. Angie, good morning to you on a Friday. So, yeah, that's what's happening. We heard from Trump last night in a very pointed 25-minute flat speech. And he laid it out there. And they put all the newly released. Now, remember, he hasn't even seen these documents until yesterday, okay? I know y'all are probably saying that's BS, but he hasn't. He hasn't. Marco Rubio, because I was just talking about the far left political terrorism that's going on in this country. It is. It's easy to destroy great things. It's far more difficult, though, to make them. Now, you're saying, what does that mean? Well, they are destroying things, but they don't know how to make anything. They don't know how to work with their hands as much. This generation, these crazy far left lunatics, these rising tide of radical violence launching and sweeping offensive across the whole country, y'all. We face a new wave of old, OLD, a new wave of old evil. I thought Rubio's speech was incredible. I invite all of you to go back and watch the whole thing. Of course, we're not going to play that here, but we will play bits and pieces, or at least one bit and piece for you.
Today, we face a new wave of this old evil. Here in the United States, the share of left-wing terrorist attacks and plots has risen to levels not seen in decades. An all-out assault on our immigration officers, sniper attacks, explosives, armed ambushes, a transgender shooter opening fire on Catholic elementary school students as they pray, his gun marked with slogans like, "Where is your God now?" A healthcare executive executed in cold blood in the streets, multiple assassination attempts on a sitting president, and the murder of the greatest conservative activist of a generation, a man who happened to also be a husband and the father of 2 young children, shot and killed while speaking to a crowd of students. This is a distinctive and unique evil. It has always been driven by a hatred, above all else, a hatred for civilization itself. It is a revolt of the worst against the best, a revolt of the weak and the cowardly against the strong and the good.
So it was a phenomenal speech from the Secretary of State. And I think the reason why he brought the world in on this conversation, a lot of the ideology that these people are coming to our country with, or the people that are currently here, the socialist, anti-American rhetoric, it goes against totally our values. And they talk about Europe, they talk about value systems in other countries that aren't congruent to what we believe.
That's the key word right there. It doesn't assimilate, and they don't assimilate well with what we believe. But the people that are already here pushing the propaganda, I mean, all the things that he said that have happened recently from far left political activists, terrorists, that's completely crushing, you guys. It crushes my soul to have to talk about this, but we have to be aware. We have to be aware. It is the revolt of the worst people against the best people. It's not the first time in history. Of course not. It's the first time in our generation where it's on this level. Yes, it is. It is. That's really crazy, though. It really is. And, you know, I have Jenny Knickerbocker, whatever the hell that is, popping in on my comments. So ashamed of Rubio, he lost all credibility. Really? And shut up, Jenny Knickerbocker, with no picture, no photo. Pathetic profile. Get away. Bye-bye. See ya. Deleted, blocked. Oh, so foolish. It's so foolish. Don't argue with this people. These people. Not this. Don't argue with these people. Waste of time. Complete waste of time. So, President Trump blasted the left-wing radical networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, then, of course, CNN, which is cable news, but they jumped on board too, refusing to air a presidential speech. Really? In a rare move, NBC, ABC, CBS, fake news, said they would not cover the speech. And they knew it because they knew what the topic was. They knew what the topic was about because the media gets a outline of a speech. They don't get the whole thing, but they get a little bit of an outline, a little bit of info. This is so very important for us to know. It's so very important for us to quit watching the foolishness on these mainstream medias. And I know some people say, well, Daryl, some people don't have cable. You don't need cable. You have the internet. You have the radio. Get your news somewhere that will tell you the truth.
BBC and ABC fake news have both said that they would not cover this speech. They knew what it was about because of the fact that they don't like the topic, because they know how corrupt our system is and they don't want to reveal it. They and others in the media are part of a plot. They want to continue this fraud for whatever reason. They want to keep it going. They want to protect the radical left. They can't have a great country, and that's true. You can't have a great country without free and fair elections. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses. They use our public multi-billion-dollar in value airways for absolutely no money. They pay nothing. All we want is honesty in our elections and honesty in reporting. They pay nothing for multi-billion-dollar assets. Great damage has been done to our country. Our elections were left vulnerable to being rigged and stolen, and the trust of the American people was lost. This cannot be allowed to continue. Every American, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or otherwise, should be able to agree that we deserve the most secure, honest, and fair election system anywhere in the world. Secure elections should be a partisan, really, we should be together, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, everybody. And it should not be a partisan issue. It should cause to unite us, not to divide us.
Yeah, of course, that's not going to happen, though. That's not going to happen. Because they've lost their freaking minds on the far left or even the left. Okay, they have lost their minds. You know, here's a text message from a unknown texter. We'll leave it at that. What reputable United States news source doesn't cover a darn United States presidential address? I hope they all go under. Yeah. Been saying that a long time. Thanks for the message, though. And thanks for listening, by the way. Thanks for listening. But, you know, in my opinion, the reason they took it off the regular airwaves and sent it over to maybe a live stream or something is because they were in on all the BS propaganda. They just were. But, you know, the FCC technically should revoke their broadcast license immediately. That's a text message. Now, you know, I don't disagree with you. I don't think it'll happen, but I don't think it'll happen because of free speech, because we have free speech too. But as far as the FCC part and them not covering it, yeah, they should get in trouble on that part for sure. For sure. But again, going back to Mark Rubio and what all he was talking about, he lays out a sweeping rebuke of communism. That's what he does. And he does it in a great way, calling it a system that strips away everything that makes people aspire to greatness. And that's so true. It's just so true. I think it's a very, very, very important statement that he made regarding that.
One of the criticisms you sometimes hear of communism, for example, is that it sounds good in theory, but it never works in practice. That's actually not true. Communism does not sound good in theory. The world it envisions for all of us is small, flat, gray, leveled of all exception, drained of all that is good and noble in the human soul. The world it envisions is a world without courage, a world without creativity or ambition, a world without heroes or glory or great causes to strive towards, a world without miracles, without myths, without men who rise above the rest to do incredible and extraordinary things. And the world communism envisions is a world without God.
All right.
Wow. How about that? I mean, I think that's probably one of the best. Mark Rubio's on his game right now. I will say that. Okay. He just is. He is on it. He's tearing into, by just straight facts and his feelings, of course, and the feelings of a lot of us American citizens, tearing into the godless commies like a real man should, in a lot of our opinions. That is the truth. If you're out there being convinced or getting convinced, or you're already convinced that capitalism is not good, look into it, study it. Seriously, I'm asking you to. I'm not telling you to do anything, but look into it before you believe in rash opponents that are pushing socialism under the umbrella of communism, because that's what it is. That's what it is. So lots of, in the overnight and really over the last 6 days in a row, the United States military is really hitting hard the IRGC in Iran with the latest wave of strikes in Iran, targeting bridges, roads at the country's largest port on the Strait of Hormuz. The goal is to cut off key supplies and routes. So this report just came out just a few minutes ago with Peter Doocy at the White House.
Something different. They started bombing overnight roads and bridges around Bandar Abbas. We have a map that we can put up. The U.S. is trying to take out these bridges and roads, hoping to isolate the IRGC so they cannot resupply their people near Bandar Abbas, which is the key to controlling the Strait of Hormuz. We have a different map of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. This one is a pinch point of the Red Sea, and the Iranians are trying to get one of their terror group proxies, the Houthis, to cut that one off. And experts are saying even a few small attacks there could be severely disruptive to global shipping.
Well, look at how bad.
Yep. Well, we all know the oil prices are going back up. I mean, I can't believe they've gone back up more than they already are, but we know that's going to happen. But at this point, ladies and gentlemen, they are not willing to negotiate. I don't think they ever were willing. They may have lied and said they were willing, but, you know, they always lie. We'll be right back.
If you or a loved one need reliable medical equipment, trust a name Mississippi has depended on for over 20 years. Mobility Medical, located right in Flowood, is your local family-owned source for mobility and home healthcare solutions. From power wheelchairs and scooters to lift chairs that help you relax in comfort, they've got everything you need to stay independent and live better every day. Need help at home? Mobility Medical offers hospital beds, tables, and essential supplies, and more. What sets them apart? It's their personalized service. Their experienced team works one-on-one with you to find the right equipment. Serving all of Mississippi and beyond with in-store support and delivery options available. Mobility Medical, helping you move better, live better, and stay independent. Visit them today in Flowood or call to learn more.
We all make promises, big and small.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I do solemnly swear
to help you when you're in need,
to be considerate and caring, to be your loving, faithful friend,
partner,
child, parent, neighbor.
One of our most important commitments is to support our nation's veterans. Learn how you can help a veteran going through a difficult time by visiting maketheconnection.net.
Power 104.3 FM.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
The Pirate. Welcome back to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. And yes, he's still unapologetic.
Welcome back. 7:44 in the morning. Friday, Freedom Friday. Every day is freedom around here, but we celebrate it every Friday with Freedom Friday. Double F. It is a Friday, and that's July 17th. And of course, the year is 2026. We've been talking about the 25-minute in-your-face speech from President Trump, which they laid out in detail. And you can see, you don't have to believe any of us. You can see at whitehouse.gov the full layout of all the classified documents that are now declassified, all the lies all the documents that they kept from Trump, literally, they kept from him. So that's that. That is that. Anyway, we're talking about Marco Rubio doing a wonderful job. Doing a wonderful job. That's all I'm going to say about that. Trump said great reviews on the speech last night. Big audience. Pass the Save America Act. Period. Thank you. Yes. We said this to where every color in the world in the face, red, blue, green, whatever. Over and over. We've said it over and over. It's just true.
Sitting Democrat politicians, including Democrat Senator Alyssa Slotkin, are now openly saying that if the Save America Act is passed, the Save America Act, which just says you have to prove you're an eligible voter to vote, if the Save America Act is passed, no Democrat will win any election in any state around the country.
The other thing that we blocked yesterday was the SAVE Act, right? Which was literally...
They're actually cheering.
Literally allow this administration to rig our democracy so that it would be hard for any Democrat in any state to win any election. And disenfranchise all married women in the meantime, by the way. It just you have to show your birth certificate at the polls if you have a married name.
Okay, so hold on. Before that last comment, notice what she says. She goes, the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, which is the kind of juiced up version, the SAVE Act would make it hard for any Democrat to win any election in any state. What an odd thing to say. Because the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, they just say you need to prove you're an eligible voter in order to vote. So why in our country with tens of millions of illegal aliens and plenty of other people who shouldn't be voting, why, and people who rig the election by voting twice and who ballot harvest and send in a bunch of stuffed ballot boxes and all the rest, why would the SAVE Act or the Save America Act make it hard for any Democrat to win any election ever. Notice what she tacks on at the end there. She tacks on a blatant lie. She says it would also disenfranchise all married women. What? Yeah, it would disenfranchise all married women because they would have to bring their birth certificates to show that they could vote. And I think what she's alluding to is that if your name doesn't match your voter ID, then it might be harder for you. You know, you need your ID to match your actual name. And okay, it's hard for you to get on an airplane too. I guess it's hard for you to cash a check too. I guess it's hard for you to get a driver's. Okay, what are you talking about? I can assure you, just from personal experience, my wife has a married name. We live in states that have proper voting measures, the kind of voting guidelines that will be mirrored in the SAVE Act, and my wife votes. And married women tend to vote Republican anyway, so I don't know why Alyssa Slotkin is actually worried about that. She's not. She tacks that little bit on there at the end, that total lie. I mean, I try not to attack straw men. I try to figure out what my opponents are really saying so I can seriously engage with it. This woman is just lying about that.
Of course they are. They cannot win an election fair and square. They cannot, will not, and won't risk it fair and square. It just is the truth. It's been going on forever. It's been going on forever. They've been cheating at elections for so long they don't even know what in the hell they would do if the fraud stopped. That's right. And meanwhile, over in Maine, where the alleged rapist and alleged Nazi Grant Plattner was kicked out of the party the same way they kicked Biden out of the party, because it's the same thing they did, the Democrats. Meanwhile, at the Maine Senate debate, there's a big old grown man in a dress running for Graham Plattner's spot to be a senator of the United States.
Oh, I ran for office several times. Didn't win, but I did run. And then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books. And then I suppose my transparency, I wouldn't lie to the people, and I wouldn't deceive the people like we're being deceived right now. Like,
I have.
Yeah. I really don't know what to say. I usually have words. I'm not sure. Not sure I have any words for that one, but Jesus, maybe that. We got a text message from Richard saying somebody needs to lock these people up with no experience. Good morning, Melanie. But who's paying these people's filing fees to run for office? Yeah, who is? That's a good ass question too. I told you we'd get to some questions. We'd get to some messages. Here's one message we got earlier when we were discussing the subject. China paid the media to instigate the BLM riots also is one of the documents that came out. Yeah, I don't doubt that whatsoever. To create propaganda. The CCP, the People's Republic of China, the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, that's what they are. Baba sent a message saying Ashley Webb looks like Meatloaf. Yeah, I mean, she does, actually. he does, whatever the hell. Dr. Seuss, if you're born with a, then you are a chick. But anyway, yeah, that's what it looks like. Dorothy said, what in the heck did we just watch? I'm a mentally ill person. And that person may be more mentally ill than me, telling the whole world that he just wants it to be fair and he just wants to be able to go to the bathroom, and that's why he's running for Senate. What? I mean, what in the... Oh, my God. I don't understand. But at the same time, I do understand. Ain't no dang way that anybody with common sense should vote for this. But I'm not going to sit here and say that the foolish people will not, because there's a lot of foolish people. Okay, there's a lot of foolish people. Rich said, as if we don't already have enough cross-dressing songwriters in the Senate. As already we don't have enough songwriters. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I guess that might be the thought for the day. Because as of right now, we don't have enough songwriters, poets, and somebody that just wants to go to the bathroom in the Senate already. I mean, seriously? God bless America. Oh, God. On that note, got just a couple of minutes left on the show this morning at 104.3 FM. And of course, the podcast is Unleash Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold. That can be heard on anywhere you grab your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Podbean, Player FM, Amazon, Pandora, iHeart Radio. The list goes on. And YouTube. Every episode is live on YouTube, and you can go back and watch too at Unleash Media and Talk with Daryl. What about those weekend specials at the Steakhouse and Tavern at Cypress Point? Fried green maters topped with pimento and cheese and bacon jam. That's an appetizer. A 14-ounce Wagyu ribeye topped with lumped crab meat. That is an entree. Dessert, berry moscato tiramisu. Oh, God bless. Weekend special on lavender martinis. Wow. This is the way to go, y'all. I'm just saying. And then Sunday brunch, kangaroos, tortoises, food, all kind of good stuff. And it's all happening at Cypress Point Resort. Live music, let's run through it again. Tonight, Friday, July 17th, Trey Gallman will be in the tavern. This gentleman is awesome. Check out the live music from 6:30 to 9:30 in the tavern. And tomorrow night, Lucas Thomas, this young fella, again, also awesome. That would be July 18th in the tavern. Lucas Thomas, 6:30 to 9:30. Cameron's Garage tonight, south of 20. Great fellows, great band. Tomorrow night, the Cody Harvey Band, again, incredible. The Big Day Sunday. It's a Big Day Sunday. Every third Sunday of the month, it's the Beers and Gears car show. Incredible. I'm just saying. All kind of everything from hot rods to classics to oldies to to great cars to anything you can imagine. The car show is always on time. Bring the family, bring whoever. Okay, bring whoever. It always starts at 1 o'clock. Live music starts around 2-ish. That's going to be Josh, Nick, and Dylan. That is this Sunday fun day. So you don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss any of that, which would take us into July 19th. Well, now that we've learned that Facebook is going to patent us, alive or dead, we've learned that the DSA member, Democrat Socialists of America, Emma Vigilant, says she doesn't care if the candidates she supports are Nazis. Did we learn that today? Yes, we did. What's wrong with these people?
You know, I've said this before. I don't really care if, say, like Bernie Sanders or AOC go home and they're a secret Nazi, but they go out and they vote for the right things. Like, we're talking about
You don't care?
politicians as. I mean, for the,
I don't know about
This
that.
is
Like,
like
I'm like, that's a. I think these are the lines that people are talking about. Some people care about that exact thing.
That's so incredibly stupid, so incredibly dangerous for her to be talking that way. That I'm going to leave y'all with that ridiculousness from the progressive left of America. It's not funny anymore. It's very serious. My name is Daryl Arnold. Thanks so much for tuning in. And we're rolling into the weekend. The weekend is officially loading now. See ya.
Thank you all for tuning in. Hashtag unfiltered, hashtag unapologetic, America First Talk at its best, where we party the right way. See you next time, or else.